Hello everyone, I'm IELTS author Pauline Cullen and I'm going to talk to you about how to prepare for IELTS with the help of my avatar. I'll start by telling you a little about myself and then explain the main problems to look out for when you're preparing for IELTS. You might be thinking, why should we listen to you? And that's a good question. When I gave a talk in 2016 about IELTS true, false, not given questions, there were over 23,000 results for the term IELTS expert on Google. As you can see, this number's increased enormously, with over 14 million results now. And there are 658,000 videos given by so-called experts. So I'll start by telling you about my own background and experience. I studied languages myself at high school and university, then became a language teacher, and then a speaking test examiner for Cambridge English exams. When IELTS came to Australia in the early 1990s, I became an examiner for the speaking and writing test, and then a test writer in 1995. I've written 8 IELTS preparation books so far, as well as 2 vocabulary teaching apps, and 4 of my books are now in their 2nd edition. When I'm writing these materials, I wear all of my hats, so the hat of the language student, the language teacher, and the test writer. You might also know me from the Inside IELTS course on FutureLearn, or from social media, where I've been answering questions about IELTS since 2011. This is where I learned about the confusing world outside IELTS, and identified some key problems in the way many people prepare for the test. The first problem is connected to the myths, misinformation, and confusion about IELTS. In 2014, we published the official Cambridge Guide to IELTS, and I really thought this book would stop a lot of the confusion about IELTS. But even now, people still contact me telling me how confused they are. I received this message in January 2021, asking, who can ensure the right way to learn about this test? This is what I find frustrating. There are lots of guides or coaching centres, but we don't know who to follow or what to focus on. So, over 7 years after the publication of the official Cambridge Guide, and people are still confused. This may be because while I was giving talks explaining that you need to work on the right reading, listening, speaking and writing skills, there were many other people saying, it's easy, and promising you free materials and special tricks. And that message is far more popular. Another possible reason is attitude to the test. For many candidates, IELTS is a huge obstacle in their path. This mindset is a key part of the problem, because people look for a way around an obstacle like this, or a quick way to climb up. When you search online for answers, the test is presented as a confusing puzzle to solve. For some people, it can even begin to feel like a game of chance, where they're not sure of the rules, and the score you get is pure luck. Even if you think you have a good strategy, what you mistakenly think is a ladder helping you climb higher is actually working against you and keeping you at a lower level. To understand why, we need to go back to the source of the problem. Online platforms rely on advertising and getting your attention in the same way that humans rely on oxygen to breathe. When there is a big demand for something, the internet will deliver it. So if you demand more practice tests, more tests will appear online. If people ask for more videos with tricks to use, more videos will appear. But people still don't get the score they need, so they need to keep taking the test, and so a vicious circle is created and the problem remains. This brings us to the second problem, using the wrong practice materials. A great deal of the myths, misinformation and confusion about IELTS come from these free materials. If I put my test writer hat back on, I can tell you that in 11 years, not one of the tests like this that I've seen accurately reflects the real test. And the tricks and tips you see online only work on these materials. They don't work here in the real practice tests. That's why they also don't help you in the real test. To succeed here, you need to build and show the right language and skills. Like fast food, these materials can be produced quickly. They're also very popular because they're free. The fact that those materials greatly outnumber helpful practice tests explains why the confusion persists. All of which leads to the third problem: frustration and a lack of progress. The wrong practice test materials lead to myths about the test and bad advice, like this advice about reading, which often talks about matching words, guessing answers, and crossing out the silly options. Or this advice about the writing test, which tells you to only write about the side you agree with and ignore the background information, and so on. People who keep taking tests, using the wrong materials, and following the wrong advice find that they work really hard but struggle to move anywhere. Something has to change if you want to change your score. In the next video, we'll look at some solutions to these problems and the changes you can make that will help you make genuine progress in IELTS. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any more videos. You can find more advice and links to my books and my vocabulary apps on my website using the links below.